Good morning and a beautiful Friday to you. This is Transition on Atlantic Television Network. The Assembly is carrying out its constitutional duties and has decided to repeal the outdated Commission of Inquiry Law of 1999.
Independence to Rivers State Legislature for standing out to say this is what we want the law to be. Remember that whatever you think emotionally or whatever does not count, because what counts is what the law is and not what the law ought to be. So in this case, the Rivers State Assembly, whose primary responsibility is to make law, represent and carry out oversight, has thought it wise to repeal that particular law. I heard you read 1999. If you check from 1999 date, it's over 20 years. So that law seems to be obsolete. So they have thought it wise that we are going to repeal, which they have done. So, but because of the crisis in Rivers State today, some persons, depending on where you pitch your tent, may begin to pick holes here and there, may begin to interpret it, may begin to relate it to having, also look at new things that will guide us in terms of law, in terms of representation. So even if what they have done today is not in tandem with what the people want, by the time you have...
This is coming after the Speaker Martins Amewule-led House of Assembly in Rivers State had passed the bill to repeal the Commission of Inquiry Law 1999. Analysts say to criticize and mock political opponents is not a criteria for assessment of performance in governance. Political analyst Dr. Nelson V.C. Okene is of the opinion that the only means to determine how well a government performed through delivery of democratic dividends to the people, adding that Governor Webolo's mockery of his predecessor's achievements is just petty politics.
And to take whatever has been done in the previous government to a new level. And in terms of analysis and comments on how well a particular policy have done, mockery is not a criteria for assessment. If you have concrete evidence of where the person has failed, you put out what the person have done wrong. And this is coming from a governor we didn't hear much from during the campaign in terms of policy. So just it's very easy to criticize, really. It's very easy to condemn what has been done. He has a platform now for the next 4 years. So what we tell whether he is better is what he will do going forward.
Yes.
To criticize and to mock is cheap. If he had come out clearly to say this is what he promised to do and this is what he did not do, then there will be basis for critical analysis. But just mockery is just petty politics, if you ask me. He's new now, so let us see what he's going to deliver. That is what is important.
This is coming after the Edo State Governor Monday Okpebholo on Wednesday embarked on an inspection of schools in the state, describing the Edo Best project of the immediate past government led by Godwin Obaseki as PDP Edo Best. Edo State Vehicle Recovery Committee has retrieved 30 vehicles from officials of the immediate past administration. Chairman Kelly Okumbowa, a statement issued by the Fred Itwa, Chief Press Secretary to Governor Monday Okpebholo, commended whistleblowers for providing critical information that facilitated the recoveries, including 4 vehicles retrieved from the residence of a former high-ranking official and from another separate individual. He assured Edo residents that more recoveries would be made before the 2-week deadline set for the committee to complete its mandate, adding that the committee is prepared to travel nationwide to recover state-owned vehicles wherever they are found. The chairman reiterated the committee's determination to ensure that all government assets are accounted for and returned to the state. Assistant Inspector General of Police, Zone 6 Calabar, AIG Jonathan Towuru, has confirmed the imprisonment of suspects who abducted Professor Ekanem Ephraim, the female professor of medicine at University of Calabar Teaching Hospital. The 60-year-old professor died in the kidnappers' den following her abduction in 2023. According to a Cross River State Chapter paid him a courtesy visit in his office in Calabar. Several doctors have been kidnapped in Calabar and other parts of Cross River State in the last few years, and the AIG assured the NMA of security cover as they discharge their professional services to the public. The delegation was led by the new chairman of NMA in the state, Dr. Ezoke Eboke, who lauded the AIG for the low crime rate in the zone in recent times, adding that the visit was to explore new collaborative frontiers for adequate security for medical doctors whom he classified as endangered species due to the activities of kidnappers. The chairman further pledged the readiness of NMA to support the police in addition to the ongoing free mental health services for police officers at the police hospital in Calabar every Tuesday. Abia State House of Assembly has passed the Abia State Ministry of Finance Incorporated Bill 2024, which seeks to establish the Abia State Ministry of Finance Incorporated and for other matters related thereto into law. The bill, which was sponsored by Majority Leader Okoro Uchenna Kalu representing Okoro Chukwu State constituency, received accelerated consideration after several debates. The merits of the law, according to the Abia State House of Assembly, include conducive partnership for investment by the private sector, wealth generation, and minimize reliance on federal allocation, among others, and shall be deemed to come into effect from the 26th of November 2024. Also during plenary, the member of representing Ohafia North State constituency, Eguronu Ochuru Obasi, in the matter of urgent public importance, called on the Abia State government through the Ministry of Health to investigate the immediate and remote causes of adverse drug reaction suffered by his constituents in Aberiba on Saturday after consuming drugs distributed by a donor agency, Imo Hope for the Hopeless. He said the free medical outreach was attracted by the Presbyterian Church in Aberiba. Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency has shut several establishments, including churches, hotels, bars, and other businesses, for failing to comply with the state's environmental laws. The operation, which covered areas such as Mushin, Omowo, Odofin, and Okota Isolo, was part of ongoing efforts to address noise pollution and other environmental violations across Lagos. A statement shared on LASPE verified on X handle on Thursday, LASPE said the establishments were shut down for failing to comply with environmental standards. Despite prior notice from the agency and as a decisive move to combat noise pollution and other environmental violations, the Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency sealed several establishments across the state. The enforcement operation, which covered areas such as Mushin, Omowo, Odofin, and Okota Isolo, underscores LASEPA's commitment to fostering a healthier and more sustainable environment for Lagosians. Mother of five, Adenike Alabi, has told a Mapo Grade A customary court in Ibadan to end her 35-year-old union with her husband, Lukman Alabi, on the grounds of infidelity and frequent battering. Alabi, a resident of Egbada Tuba area of Ibadan, told the court that her husband started beating her immediately after he accused her of being responsible for a miscarriage in 1997. The petitioner said no dowry was paid on her as both of them started cohabiting together after she became pregnant. While in his arguments, Lockman said his wife no longer takes care of him because he had lost his means of livelihood. Delivering at judgment, the court's president, S.M. Akintoye, dissolved the cohabitation, adding that there was no marriage to be dissolved between her and Lockman because no bride price was paid, and her marriage also lacked other essentials requirements considered by the customary courts for a valid marriage, while three others requirements include the capacity to marry, consent of the parents, and presentation of gifts. She granted custody of the 5 children produced by the union to the petitioner and ordered Lockman to be responsible for the education and the other welfare of the children, and also granted the ordering restraining Lockman from harassing, disturbing, threatening, and interfering in the private life of his ex-partner. Makurdi High Court has ordered the reinstatement of Mr. Austin Agada and other elected executives of the Benue State chapter of the All Progressive Congress, Benue chapter, whose tenures were terminated by the party's National Working Committee. In his ruling on Thursday, the presiding judge, Justice Tase Bakume, gave the order in a suit filed by Agada and 8 others against the APC. While in the suit, Agada and the 8 others challenged the abrupt termination of their tenure in office as Benue executives of the party. They sued the party to determine whether it was right to terminate their tenures midway without giving them a fair hearing. Al-Aleyebo argued that the National Working Committee decision was also in contravention of Section 223, subsection 2 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, by not giving them a fair hearing before unlawfully terminating their tenures, and urged the courts to make an order reinstating his clients until the expiration of their tenures on February 2, 2026. However, counsels for APC, Mr. Matthew Buka, urged the court to dismiss the suits, arguing that the court had no jurisdiction over the matter as it was an internal affair of the party. The presiding judge, however, dismissed the arguments of the respondents' counsel and granted the relief sought by the applicants and declared that the tenure of office of Agada and other elected executive of the APC in Benue is still valid and subsisting the completion of 4 years. Gombe State Police Command has arrested 2 suspects, Abubakar Musa and Usman Ismaili, both residents of Nasarawa quarters, for their alleged involvement in a criminal conspiracy and armed robbery. A statement issued on Thursday by the police public relations officer, ASP Buhari Abdullahi, revealed that the suspects reportedly attacked 4 individuals, all of BCGA quarters in Akko local government area of Gombe State, in Hayin Karin Maisu quarters behind Bango Primary School, as the victims were returning home from their workplaces. He said the suspects, armed with a machete, knife, and stick, allegedly disposed the victims of valuables, including one Techno-Camon A31 smartphone, adding that upon receiving the complaints on November 25 at approximately 4:25 p.m., operative of Operation Hatara launched a swift response and apprehended the suspects. Abdullahi also said some exhibits were recovered, including one machete, one cutlass, one stick, one knife, adding that the Gombe State Police Command reassured the public of its dedication to combating crime and maintaining peace and security across the state. You are watching the Transitional Atlantic Television Network. We return later. We return after this break. Do stay with us. This is Atlantic Television Network Transition. Now the rest of our stories. President Bola Tinubu has called on French investors to invest in Nigeria, saying the country is open for businesses and his government is creating an enabling environment for them to thrive. Tinubu made this call on Thursday during a joint briefing with the French President Emmanuel Macron at the Elysee Palace. The Nigerian president said the youth of his country are skilled, educated, and ready to be trained, stressing it is why French investors should look forward the West African nation. According to him, Nigeria is working on diversifying its economy away from fossil fuel and believes France can play a key role in that move. President Tinubu also expressed gratitude to the French government for providing stability for Nigerian businesses in the European country. President Bola Tinubu has reaffirmed his administration's committee to prioritizing education for Nigerian children. Tinubu made the pledge on Thursday while interacting with French President Emmanuel Macron at the Palais des Elysées in Paris and outlined plans to significantly reduce the number of out-of-school children through innovative return-to-class initiatives and skills development programs. The president highlighted the government's ongoing efforts to create a supportive framework that ensures school-age children re-enter classrooms, emphasizing the role of motivation and skill acquisition in this initiative. Accompanied by First Lady Senator Oluremi Tinubu, the Nigerian president told President Macron and First Lady Brigitte Macron that Nigeria's developmental potentials hinges on a well-educated populace and described it as the notable progress in enhancing security across Nigeria and employing kinetic strategies as part of the peace-building process. On his part, President Macron acknowledged Nigeria's vast growth potential and the importance of investing in educational initiatives and reflected on his formative experiences during a 6-month internship at the French Embassy in Nigeria, including visits to Lagos and Kano State. Nigerian Senate has passed for a second reading the 4 controversial tax reform bills introduced by President Bola Tinubu aimed at reforming Nigeria's administration. The proposed legislation seeks to harmonize, coordinate, and resolve disputes arising from revenue administration in Nigeria. Leading the debate on the bill, Bamidele Opeyemi, Senate leader, explained that the bills aim to simplify and streamline tax administration, reduce burden on burdens on Nigerians, especially low-income earners. Contributing to the debate, Senator Ali Indome argued that the bills should be withdrawn for proper consideration due to controversial clauses on revenue sharing formula, VAT retribution, and what he termed as poor timing for the introduction of the bills. Ali Indome, Borno State DIC, meanwhile, the majority of lawmakers.
Mr. President, the third problem I mentioned, if the people through the governors, and then the NEC and the traditional rulers say that the bill should be withdrawn, make some necessary amendments, and then bring it back, and we can pass it in 24 hours. That is my position, Mr. President.
Meanwhile, the majority of lawmakers who spoke in favor of the bill for second reading stated that what the bill entails is good for this country.
All of that changed, Mr. President. The moment oil was discovered in the creeks of the Niger Delta, 1957-58, Nigeria found free money in the creeks of the Niger Delta, and we left taxation, just as we left agriculture and manufacturing. So that's where we are. So the attempt by the current administration to let the governments of Nigeria, all levels, they run on tax and tax revenue, is something that I fully support.
Distinguished colleagues, we have since yesterday exhaustively examined all the aspects of this tax reform bill, and in line with our legislative procedure in making laws, agreed earlier today that these bills be passed for a second reading, so that when it is referred to the appropriate committee, especially at the third reading, all the gray areas and areas of concern by Nigerians and some concerned citizens should be addressed appropriately at that level. And I think at this point that I will urge all my colleagues to support the second reading of this bill so that we pass it to the relevant committees, having exhaustively debated on this matter earlier on today.
However, the Red Chamber passed the 4 tax bills for second reading through voice notes. Former head of state General Yakubu Gowon, retired, has given reasons why he refused to align with any political party in the country. The elder statesman made this known in Abuja when he received the League of Northern Democrats, led by a former Kano State governor, Senator Ibrahim Shikaru, adding that his only allegiance is to Nigeria, adding that his profession in the military shaped his belief in serving the country above all else. He also encouraged others to think beyond regional interests and focus on Nigeria as a whole, stressing that differences in opinion are natural, but they should never prevent Nigerians from working together to resolve issues for the good of the country. Gowon expressed hope prioritized the North, but the West prioritized the West and the East prioritized the East, until the Midwest emerged to think for itself, advising that his position has always been that whatever the North does must not serve the greater interest of Nigeria. He also said he supported the creation of multiple states to prevent any one region from becoming too powerful and threatening the country's unity, but to focus on national unity, adding that this Where should I start from? Army of Chief Staff Olufemi Oluyede has pledged its commitment to bring lasting peace to the country if confirmed in its substantive position. Oluyede, who made the pledge when he appeared before the House of Representatives Joint Committee on Defense and Army at the National Assembly Complex in Abuja, said, "The security environment in the country today requires a united effort on the part of every Nigerian," and called for strong bilateral and multilateral alliances with neighboring countries, as well as deep collaboration and joint efforts by the services and other security agencies.
Well, I will tell you that as it is now, there's robust cooperation between the services, and that, for me coming in, I intend to enhance that and be a team player at that level, so as to ensure that Nigeria gets better secured, and maybe we expect better socio-economic development. Aircrafts have different strata of employment. We have the tactical and the strategic strata of employment. Now, the air support that we require as an army is the one at the tactical level, whereby the aircraft will be ready available for us during operations, the conduct of operations at tactical level, while the Air Force, being the main players in that sphere, are to give us strategic cover. So we require those aircrafts and the air wing to support our operations.
Chairman of the House Committee on Defense, Honorable Baba Jimmy Benson, in his remarks said, Nigeria continues to grapple with an evolving spectrum of security challenges, ranging from insurgency and banditry to communal clashes and cyber threats. According to the lawmaker, for over a decade, the armed forces of Nigeria have been at the forefront of responding to these challenges, launching numerous operations and providing vital support to internal security efforts, and commended the significant successes recorded in recent times, adding that it is clear that more work remains to be done to achieve sustainable peace across all regions of the country. He also said, as a partner in the pursuit of a secure and prosperous Nigeria, the House remains steadfast in its commitment to legislative oversight and support for the armed forces, stressing that the House will continue to provide the necessary legal frameworks, advocates for adequate funding, and monitor the implementation of appropriations to ensure accountability and transparency in military operations, adding that the position of Chief of Army Staff carries immense responsibility.
While we commend the significant successes recorded in recent years, it is clear that more work remains to be done to achieve sustainable peace across all regions of the country. The current dynamics of global security demand innovative and adaptive strategies. Threats are no longer confined to traditional battlefields. They now extend to cyberspace, economic domains, and even the socio-political fabric of nations. In light of this, we must prioritize a forward-looking approach to national defense, ensuring that our military is well equipped and adequately trained to address both conventional and emerging threats. Dear colleagues, distinguished nominee, and esteemed guest, the task before us today is not only to assess the qualifications and vision of the nominee for Chief of Army Staff, but also to establish a collaborative roadmap for tackling Nigeria's security challenges. As a partner in the pursuit of a secure and prosperous Nigeria, this House remains steadfast in its commitment to legislative oversight and support for the armed forces. We will continue to provide the necessary legal frameworks, advocate for adequate funding, and monitor the implementation of appropriations to ensure accountability and transparency in military operations.
Former Vice President Yemi Osibanjo has stressed the need for political action to go beyond mere protests, calling for measurable and tangible outcomes, especially in impoverished society. He said this while giving a keynote address at the Technology, New Media Citizens and Governance Conference in Lagos on Thursday, and highlighted the socio-economic toll of protests on informal workers and traders who depend on daily earnings. While addressing the role of the elites in driving meaningful change, Osibanjo underscored their responsibility in crafting actionable objectives and building coalitions that lead to structurable reforms, adding that the networks and the resources to build coalitions for political change often leading to structural reforms, the type of change that makes a real difference. Osibanjo, who also reflected on the dual-edged nature of technology and social media in mobilizing political movements, praised the platforms for enabling leaderless coordination, warned against the absence of clear objectives or leadership, which can hinder the achievement of actionable outcomes. Chairman of the National Population Commission, Nasi Kwara, has announced plans to conduct Nigeria's population and housing census in 2025, nearly 2 decades after the last census in 2006. He made this known during the 2024 anniversary at the Nairobi Summit on the International Conference on Population and Development held in Abuja on Thursday. While the announcement came 18 years after Nigeria's last census in 2006, despite the United Nations recommendation for countries to conduct population counts every 10 years. Previous attempts to hold the census in 2023 were postponed under the administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari, and the delay was attributed to the desire to let the incoming administration to take ownership of the process. Speaking at the event, Kwara stressed on the significant impact of the delay, particularly in hammering informed decision-making and effective resources allocation, and also highlighted the need for accurate data to address pressing issues in rural and undeserved areas. He said, Nigeria's inability to conduct timely census has reduced progress in advancing sexual and reproductive health rights, eliminating gender-based violence, and promoting inclusivity. In her remarks, the founder of the Wellbeing Foundation Africa, Toyin Saraki, pledged continued advocacy and policy support to advance the ICPD agenda and called on private, philanthropic, and multi-sector stakeholders to collaborate in accelerating progress towards achieving the initiative's goals. False Criminal Investigation Department has detained a self-acclaimed License Bureau de Change operator, Chinedu Ngwaka, over alleged fraud of 320 million naira. The FCID's Police Public Relations Officer ASP Aminat Meyegun confirmed the arrest and detention in a post on her X-handle. Said the police received a petition addressed to the Assistant Inspector General of Police, Mr. Ayodeji Ogundele, FCID Annex Lagos on September 9. She said the arrest followed a petition filed by one Chinedu Laz and partners, Dio Gracia Chambers, on behalf of Mr. Tochukwu Unachuku, the managing director of Casco Electronics Company Limited, that Ngwaka and wife Janet were involved in a fraudulent scheme amounting to 320 million naira. According to her, upon receipt of the petition, detectives from the Special Investigations Team, SIT of the Anti-Fraud Section attached to FCID Annex in Lagos State, swiftly swung into investigation, leading to the arrest of the suspect, adding that the further investigation revealed that between March and May this year, while Unachuku made payment totaling 320 million naira to Ngwaka and Jane, his wife. Academic Staff Union of Polytechnics has concluded plans to embark on a 2-week warning strike, commencing from December 2nd, 2024. The decision was arrived at the National Executive Council meeting of the union in Abuja. on Thursday, where ASUP criticized government of Renegin in implementing a number of demands tabled before them. President of ASUP, Comrade Ikbanja Shaman, who announced the planned industrial action, said the 11 demands for which governments have been recalled to meet dates back to successive governments, especially former President Muhammadu Buhari. This is coming after ASUP had issued a 15-day ultimatum to the federal government and other relevant agencies to immediately review and reverse all decisions inconsistent with the provisions of the Polytechnics Act and other governance instruments in this subsection. The union had also alleged issues of impunity and disregard for clear provisions of the Federal Polytechnic Act, various edicts establishing state-owned institutions and other governance instruments, and also accused the National Board for Technical Education of overstepping its bounds by intruding into the regular functions of the academic boards of polytechnics, particularly concerning the admission of higher national diploma students within the Nigerian polytechnic system. And now to some business reports. Oil marketers have outlined the conditions that will make them patronize the newly rehabilitated Port Harcourt Refinery Company in Rivers State, the Port Harcourt Refinery, under the management of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, must dispense its refined petroleum products below the prices of the Dangote Petroleum Refinery, while the NNPCL, in reaction to claims, said its petrol price was about 1,045 naira litre, and the refinery is yet to release its prices, noting that minding the production of the plants were currently dispensed to only NNPCL stations. The oil firm spokesperson Olufemi Sonoye said the company is still reviewing its prices and is yet to commence bulk sales due to its purchasing portal and has remained closed. The NNPC said the newly rehabilitated complex of the old Port Harcourt refinery, which had been revamped and upgraded with modern equipment, is operating at a refining capacity of 70%. Adding that the diesel would be the highest output from the refinery, with a daily capacity of 1.5 million litres and 2.1 million litres respectively. The National Public Secretary of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, Chinedu Ukadike, said though NNPC is yet to release any price for the products from the refurbished Port Harcourt refinery, a high price would discourage marketers, adding that Dangote currently sells his petrols at 970 naira per litre, while imported petrol is around the price, and there is the possibility that the NNPC will review its prices downward when the Port Harcourt refinery comes fully on stream. Vice President Kashim Shettima says Nigeria attracted $1.27 billion in foreign capital from BRICS countries by June 2024, marking a significant rise from the $438.2 billion recorded in the period of 2023. The BRICS comprise Brazil, China, and South Africa, alongside new members including Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia, and the United Arab Emirates. Speaking at the 2024 China-Africa Inter-Bank Association Forum in Abuja, Shettima, represented by the Special Advisor to the President in General Duties, Dr. Aliyu Modibo, highlighted the growing economic ties between Nigeria and BRICS nations, adding that Nigeria's status as a partner country within the bloc underscores its commitment to fostering strategic partnerships for domestic growth. The Vice President said China's position as Nigeria's leading trading partner, with total trade between the two countries amounting to 7.38 trillion naira in the first half of 2024, and attributed the development to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's diplomatic efforts, which culminated in the signing of 5 key memoranda of understanding during Tinubu's official visit to China in September 2024. The agreement included initiatives aligned with the Belt and Road Initiative aimed at bolstering Nigeria's infrastructural developments, stressing that it underscores the importance of deepening our bilateral relationship with China, especially within the realm of financial and banking system. Finnish authorities say pro-Biafran agitator Simon Ekpa, who was arrested in Finland for alleged terrorism-related activities, is scheduled to face charges in May 2025 potentially. A senior detective superintendent at Finland's National Bureau of Investigation, Mikko Laksinsoni, confirmed that the district 2025 as a deadline for prosecutors to present possibly charges against Ekpa. While the Finnish government had last week announced the arrest of Ekpa alongside 4 others on suspicion of terror-related activities, including incitement to violence and terrorism financing. Finnish police confirmed that Ekpa, described as the self-proclaimed Prime Minister of the Biafran Republic government in exile, allegedly used social media to promote violence in the southeast region, targeting civilians and authorities. The suspect's activities prompted global petitions from Nigerians urging the Finnish and Nigerian governments as well as the European Union to take action. And in response, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs summoned the Finnish ambassador to Nigeria, Lina Pilisinil, to demand Finland's cooperation in addressing the threats posed by Ekpa. Spokesperson for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Kimebi Ebenefa, said the government as a critical step in addressing IPOB's activities and mitigating the influence of transactional actors on Nigeria's national security. United States Federal Bureau of Investigation has apprehended Oluyomi Omobolanle Bombata, known as Bobo Chicago, for allegedly defrauding various companies and individuals of $2.8 million. Bobo Chicago was arrested in Chicago, Illinois, and is facing multiple charges, including wire fraud, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, money laundering, and unlawful monetary transactions. His fraudulent activities targeted Nigerians residing in the Houston metro area before he fled to Chicago, and federal agents tracked the illicit funds and found that over $3,000 had been fueled into the well-known liquor store. Bobo Chicago conspirator are now waiting his transfer to Oklahoma to face the charges against him and his list of Nigerians currently incarcerated as convicted criminals or facing criminal charges. Israeli Defense Force says a ceasefire agreement with Hezbollah had been violated, prompting Israeli tank fire on 6 locations in southern Lebanon. According to the IDF suspects, some in vehicles were observed entering areas near the southern zone, leading to the military response after Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had previously announced the ceasefire agreement on Tuesday, stating his intent to allow displaced Israeli families to return to northern areas after months of conflict along the Lebanon border. Netanyahu assured that Israel retained full freedom to act in Lebanon, while the ceasefire would enable to shape in focus on the Iranian threat and Hamas in Gaza. They are broken with U.S. mediation and aligned with UN Security Council Resolution 1701 is meant to end over the years of hostility between Israel and Hezbollah, alongside ongoing battles with Hamas in Gaza. And the terms include a 60-day timeline for Israel to withdraw from southern Lebanon while prohibiting offensive actions by either side. Despite these provisions, clashes have continued. Israeli forces remain stationed in Lebanese territory near the border, and surveillance drones have been active over southern Lebanon. Comes after intense conflicts between Israel and the Iran-backed Hezbollah, compounded by the death of Hezbollah leader Syed Hassan Nasrallah and other commanders during Israeli strikes. Popular Canadian stage actor Julian Arnold is dead. The actor reportedly died on Sunday, November 24, 2024, at the age of 60 after he suffered a medical while performing during a Christmas carol at Edmonton's Citadel Theatre. Alberta Health Services spokesperson Kerry Williamson said Arnold died at the location after multiple resuscitation attempts. Reacting to his passage in a statement, Jesse Van Ringe, the Citadel Theatre's executive director of Darrell Cloran, the artistic director, said his presence brought joy, heart, and depth to every role. His artistic contributions will be deeply missed. Nigerian Super Eagles dropped 8 places in the latest men's ranking released by the Federation of International Football Association. FIFA released the latest men's ranking on its official website on Thursday. The 3-time African champions, who were previously ranked 36th, now occupy 44th position and also dropped from 4th to 5th position in Africa. The West Africans drew 1 and lost 1 of their 2 in the month of November, while Morocco maintained top position in Africa, with Senegal, Algeria, and Egypt in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th positions, respectively. Manchester United manager Ruben Amorim has singled out Nosia Mazario for praise after their 3-2 win over Modo Gilmits in the European League on Thursday night. Rasmus Højlund scored twice as the Red Devils came from behind to beat the Norwegian side. But Amorim was full of economus for Mazario, who only arrived from Bayern Munich last summer for an initial fee of 12.8 euros. The 26-year-old has gone on to put in impressive performances under former boss Erik ten Hag and also in the 2 games Amorim has taken charge of. And that's the size of the package for today. Thank you for watching. You can follow us on our social media platforms. On Twitter at Atlantic TV Net, on Facebook and YouTube on Atlantic Television Network, on Instagram on Atlantic TV